You and RFK are now part of the Trump campaign. Explain why. Why did you go with Trump?
David, the choice in this election is very clear, and the differences between President Trump and Vice President Harris couldn't be more stark. Frankly, to put it simply, the choice for the American people is a choice with Donald Trump, a man who values peace, prosperity, and freedom. He has a record that proves that. And Vice President Kamala Harris, whose record shows an increasingly tyrannical government undermining our freedoms. We are embroiled in multiple wars around the world and closer to the brink of nuclear war than ever before, and increasing economic hardship for Americans throughout these last 3.5 years that she has served as Vice President of the United States. The contrast couldn't be more clear. This is personal for me, this endorsement of President Trump, because as a soldier now for over 21 years, I've deployed to multiple war zones in different parts of the world, put my life on the line for the safety, security, and freedom of the American people. So it's important to me and to every one of my brothers and sisters in uniform that we have a commander-in-chief who values every one of our lives, who carries that responsibility as commander-in-chief very seriously, and will therefore exhaust all diplomatic avenues before seeing war truly as a last resort. And the last point that I'll make on this that is another point of contrast is President Trump showed through his last administration, not only did he not start any new wars, he took action to prevent them by courageously meeting with adversaries, allies, partners, dictators. He would meet with whoever he needed to pursue peace. Kamala Harris criticized Donald Trump for doing exactly that, which shows that if she's elected president, she will not do what is necessary in the pursuit of peace. And I am certain that she will lead us very quickly into a war to mask the weakness and insecurity that she feels and try to project strength using the lives of my brothers and sisters in uniform to do so.
And it's not like Donald Trump just...
All right. That was Tulsi. My Verizon's still out. I went down to Verizon. It's not my account. I called in and it's, takes forever. You go through all the AI help. I think somebody chopped the line outside my apartment, and my guess is well, I won't say it was intentional, but anyway, they're coming tomorrow afternoon to fix it. So I have, at the great kindness of one of you, I set up a new computer. It's not new. It's newer than mine was, though. But I don't have Verizon, so I have to use this. It's not perfect, but we'll go with that. I don't have an MSN account. So I don't know. Ron, I don't know. I don't have an MSN account. Used to. All right, you're live.
You ready? You good?
Yeah, everybody's here.
All right, the gentleman just asked me on Twitter. I just responded to him. Let me get his question for you so I can. Give me a second.
I'll answer at a time more convenient for you.
Peter Melvado.
By the short, trapping some buyers into an eventual loss of 70 cents, your thought? And my response was, if they did that whole thing so that someone could buy, 50 people buy, 2,000 shares apiece for 100,000 shares and then drive it lower, why did they let it go higher and trap everybody? They can't let it. It was going up. People were rolling out of GDC. People were buying it, and they crossed and they did everything they can and just drove it down. They can't let it go up. Just think about it. You want to sell your home. Someone wants to give you $1 million. What do you do? Say, no. I'll give you 800. I'll take 800,000. Your car's worth 40,000. Oh no, I'll take 28,000. That's what they're doing.
Which
That's
stock?
all you have to know.
Which stock?
The finger motion we talked
Yeah,
about the other day. When it
I
went three
talked
something.
over you at the beginning. That's why I was asking you to say it
Okay,
again.
finger motion the other day on the spike to 318. I had plenty of friends that made a ton of money in GDC, a lot of money, and they're buying finger motion. That's it. They wanted to find the next one that's going sideways, and they're going to accumulate it. So it doesn't make a difference what they pay. If you pay $3 to GDC, you still made money on it, right?
Right.
How do I know? Because that's what I paid, right? I paid high and I paid low, and I still made money. Doesn't make a difference. If you think the stock is going to be a winner, you accumulate it and you get involved. The manipulation is for one reason. They cannot let it go up. Just write it on your desk. Write a note. The only reason stocks spike up and go straight down is because the short seller has a margin problem. Short sellers, I work for short sellers, real short sellers. They wanted the stocks to go higher. I got paid more when I sold stock short at higher levels than selling it down. This is a new era because this is all complete security fraud. They're just trying to manipulate it as fast as they can to keep it underwater because they can't. Listen, when you get over leveraged, everyone on this phone call, you have to stop. You can't keep spending money you don't have every day. And then they just watch some more stock and finger motion. They hit the 225 bid, the 223 bid, and now it's 220 for 100 shares, and there's always a seller, 1,000, 1,200. It's all a scam. I can't say it any stronger than that. But again, I just changed the date. We went from 52 days, we're down to 51 in 40 minutes. Where are they going? The company's dividend should be coming out shortly. They're in a panic. What I see is a panic. I know what you guys all see is, so I don't make any money. I see a panic. And the panic's coming. That's what I see. Just to change the subject for 1 second, William. DJT, you have to be out of your bird to be shorting the stock. Everyone who short the stock should be arrested and thrown in jail for life. All right. First of all, they shorted it to haze 2 days before they tried to assassinate Trump. Everybody knows it. It's all out there. And they continue to do it because they think they could sell it and the trades are going to go away. Like they sold it short at 30. They're going to cover it at 20 and they're going to go away and no one's going to know that they made the money. These trades, all the data does not go away. They belong, I don't own DJT. I find it appalling that they just keep doing it. And you have the next president of the United States, him, Pat Byrne, Devin Nunes is screaming about it. And for them being quiet tells me that these guys definitely have some sort of investigation going on behind the scenes. Because this is complete criminal activity at the highest level. Are they terrorists doing this? I don't know who's doing it, but whoever's doing it should be arrested and taken away in 10 minutes. Everyone, prime brokers, anyone who's taking these orders, they should all be taken away. It's criminal activity. It's just unbelievable. So again, finger motion, which I told you before, there's no more room. Where are they going? 222, 23, where are we going? To $1.80, what's the big deal? Where are we going? The company doesn't need any money. The company's in business. Where are they going short the stock? They have nowhere to go. There's no more room. They're trying to create this space. They're trying to create room, but there is no room. The people that bought stock up to $3 the other day are very strong investors. They're not someone buying 1,000 shares that's going to get nervous and fire and sell it and lose $50, whatever it is. These are not those type of people. They don't care. They'll just keep accumulating it. That's what we said. If they're going to let us accumulate it down here, so be it. Let them do what they have to do. All right, I just put up a thing. It's so funny that the stock market's selling off. So let's hurry up and sell the stocks that have been destroyed already. Let's sell more finger motion. Let's sell more of DJT. let's knock those stocks down. We don't go up with the market. What are we going down for? Listen, people, a lot of things happen on days when the market's down. Short sellers love to cover on down days because they know the longs want to bail out. So whatever name you're trading, I don't care if it's IBM, Microsoft, all of a sudden you see them turn up. Those are shorts trying to cover because a lot of times more investors will dump in a market that's negative because they think the market's going to go low, and they say, okay, you know what, I bought Microsoft at $80. You know, it's 70, 78. Get me the hell out. I'll take the 2-point loss. It's up today. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. That's a trick by the shorts. How do I know it? I did it myself. Whenever the market was crashing down, we were always buyers. And when the market's rallying big up, we started legging into the trades. We sell 100,000 on Monday, 100,000 Tuesday. We just keep going according to the market. So understand how the shorts think. They're the opposite of what you're thinking. All right. And with the naked short selling, they have this leverage that is so ridiculous. I can't imagine how this government keeps allowing it to go on. It's just remarkable. Remarkable that it's still going on. And people, if you don't vote for Trump, I don't give a shit again. I know some people don't like it, whatever. You will be a working slob forever. You will never get anywhere with your investments. I don't care what stock it is. No one on this phone is smart enough to trade every day and make money forever. I'm telling you now. I know great traders that have tough times. You will get wiped out. Your kids will get wiped out. And your grandkids will get wiped out. We need to get Pat Burning here and people that want to fight and expose this thing. If we don't, then we're all going to get screwed here. Finger motion is going to win. All right, because it's working out of a different country. They can always leave the U.S. and get the hell away from here. U.S. companies are not going anywhere else. All right, so I have concerns, but I'm not really concerned. I know the special dividend is going to come out. I spoke to an attorney. I told you that based on what the confrontation, the emails. I guess the CEO told us that they had a communication with the SEC. That back and forth banter can only go so long before it gets the approval. If the SEC wasn't giving them approval, they would have squashed it already. So that's all. Don't listen to anyone who says it's not coming, and that's all BS. Anyway, William, I was busy all day, but go ahead. You have anything to say? Anybody have anything to say? Besides saying that we don't have any more money, we're all broke. I got it. But guess what? People that are in our camp are not broke. And they made plenty of money, and they're still playing. So let them finish what they're doing, and we'll see what happens. Stock looked pretty good today, GDC. I was running around. I saw it traded up to 658. If that breaks that 658, I think it really gets going again. And maybe that big buyer we've been talking about steps in and runs them over. Remember, the big buyer, if they buy 200,000 a day, it's $1 million a week. Right, William?
Mm-hmm.
Someone is 100% accumulating that stock. You can see it doesn't go down. And for everybody on the call, stock settlement is T+1, not T+ whenever you feel like. If you bought a stock and you told E-Trade, I'm going to give you the money when I feel like it, you could never buy the stock. Think about that. These guys are selling stock and never doing anything. They never deliver it. And everybody knows about it. I don't know how the government has turned and looked the other way and let all these people just loot everyone. Again, Ken Griffin, he's too big to fail, as they'll say, right? They're going to cut his wings and going to make him unwind slowly, meaning they're going to shut down his operation slowly. All these other guys are going to keep it wiped out. The Anson Fund is giving up people left and right. They even got the CEO of Canaccord. If you read the document again. These guys, Canaccord has been notorious for naked short selling. Canaccord, Lynn Partners has got connections to Canaccord. There's not even a question. Every criminal has been doing business through Canaccord. How the NASDAQ or FINRA allows Canaccord to still operate under our framework is just remarkable. All laws out of Canada, they belong in jail, everyone there. I hope that when they get the DOJ gets that guy, he rats out every client that he has on naked shorts. Think about all the crooks. They all think the paperwork went away to sell tickets. They don't go away. So again, that's what I see going on with the Anson Fund. For those that don't know, it's that big thing with the toad or the frog, whatever the hell it is. Any questions, William?
Well, apparently Avid put out a video not great about Finger, but you know, everybody has their opinion.
He's allowed to have his opinion. He was right. He was, for everyone there, he was spot on. I asked him at $1.50 in GDC, and he says he didn't thought it was going down. I wrote back to him. I said, "Hey, nice call. You were wrong by 1,000%."
Hey.
So that's how it goes. You win, you lose. He's allowed to his opinion. So
Yeah, exactly. He's allowed his opinion. I
don't control. I don't.
Barrios. I guess there's a website called Dilution Tracker. So Barrios says that Finger has no cash. What is the plan here? I don't believe that website. Finger's got. It's some guy wearing glasses. I mean, he's a real person. Is my point.
But just read the tape. The company just raised $2 million.
Yeah.
Their cash is held in so what Finger Motion does is they put money in a trading account, okay, just like you do. And what they do is they trade all day long. They buy and they sell, buy and they sell. All right. That capital is there because I know, because my friends raised it. Okay. My friends gave the company $10 million. Okay. And I think they got 15 million in cash, but it's in a trading account and it's there to buy cell phone minutes in China. So they buy $10 million worth of minutes at 99 cents and they sell it at $1 and they make that spread. Whatever that spread is, that's what they do. So it's just always being used.
It's always being used. And the fact is, you don't understand Barrios, you don't understand the company. So you shouldn't be researching on Dilution Tracker. The company has plenty of current assets. The current assets are probably $20 million. That's this roll of the minutes. So it's just not accurate.
So if a company buys, let's say a company buys pickleballs, they spend $20 million. And when they sell that whole inventory, they come out with $21 million. Then they use $21 million to buy more pickleballs so they can make $22 million and make another $1 million. That's business, my friends. So the gentleman that is lost, that doesn't understand it, and he's looking for a dilution tracker, he needs to go back to business school and learn how to play the game. And if he's going to repeat nonsense, okay, I think he needs to go back. And it's only, I don't care about what he says about Finger Motion because I know he's wrong. But go learn, because you know what? That is what you're saying is dilution. You're just looking and spreading fear, thinking that people that the company's going to raise money. And I got it. We all, William, let me handle it. We all know the scam. All right. So whether you're a nice guy or a criminal, we all got it. There's no dilution coming. All right. So you can take that and stick it up your ass. All right. So get out of here. Next question, William.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not pickleballs, it's minutes. And that turns over every day. Boom, boom, boom. And they make a profit.
You have to buy minutes in China. There's no whatchamacallit, Verizon or AT&T. You don't get a bill. You don't have minutes. Your phone goes dark. You can't charge. You can't do anything because you need your phone, because there's no way of paying for anything. You need your phone. And Finger Motion is in perfect place for that. So go back and go study the history of the CEO. He's got plenty of videos up there. If you're genuine and you really want to know, there's plenty of videos that'll tell you how to do it. If you're a stooge, get out of here. Next question, please.
So I don't know this, Doc, but you always welcome new names. JBDI. I'm not making any comment, but Jake says that JBDI has taken off. I don't have
that. Of $5, I don't know. I do not.
I don't
know nothing about it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I could say one thing. Congratulations, and I don't know the stock, but It's up 5 today. I don't know what it did yesterday. I don't know anything about it. Congratulations. Again, finding these things before they go is finding a needle in a haystack. All right. So in the last few years, I found plenty of them. I put them out. I told everyone about it. And I put it up on Twitter. I told you about GDC. I told you about GameStop. I put up Bed Bath & Beyond. I have many others. But again, it's not easy to find. I'm not a Monday morning quarterback where I'll just say, hey, this is what I found. You know, this has happened. I don't like to report it after it happened. I hope anyone who's long, make money, trade it the same way, and do what you have to do now. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, that's how it goes. If you're so good at it, anybody's so good at it, please hang up, because we can only specialize in one at a time. We can't do 20 at a time.
RW is reminding everybody that Finger has the contract for emergency vehicles. I happen to think that's huge news, but I guess no one agrees with me other than
Well, listen,
Pam.
I'll go out and just say, I'll repeat it again. So if anybody needs to clean their ears, okay. The company got listed on the NASDAQ. They rang the bell April 29th. The stock was $4. Since that time, they announced the contract to use their app to charge. If you charge up your car, your electric car, you pay in the U.S. You pay $15. I never knew this. You pay $15 when you go to these superchargers and you got to charge your car. In China, everyone lives in apartment buildings, so they don't really have houses. So they all go to these charging stations. You can use Fingermotion's app, and Fingermotion will make a small percentage from everyone who charges. Let's say it's 10%. $10, they make $1 for doing nothing. They just started that business, a revenue business that was given to them by who? The Chinese government. All right? We all know how big China is. The stock sold off on that. Then the company just got a deal to install software or whatever technology in every emergency vehicle in China. It was awarded the only company in China to get a license to do this sort of work. Now, the company made a statement in their press release, you can see yourself, the only one of its kind. No one has it in China. That tells me if they have a license to do this stuff, that means there's other things coming. That's what it means to me. Because they made a point out of it. You go read the press release yourself. I read it 10 times. Why are they pushing that they have a license? Like we would give a shit. I wouldn't know. They said we have a license, the only one of its kind. Tells me there's more business to come. The Chinese government has knighted this company. It takes a little time, but this company keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger deals. And when they drive the revenue, the stock will take off. That's it. And they don't need any money because that person's not doing his legwork. Go read, go call the CEO up, go do something, and get back on the program. That's it. You don't like the stock? If anyone who's in the stock who's nasty like that gentleman who's just spilling stupid information, sell it, move along, and that's it. There's nothing else I can say. Call the SEC up. I put 100 pictures of the truck up to remind everybody what we've done. The truck is in the lobby of the building, okay? Not many people have the balls to do that, okay? We did it 16 times. We did it at the SEC enforcement conference. We did this 16 times. The truck has been everywhere, all right? One time, I asked the shareholders for help. The rest of the time, it's people that I know. We took care of it all. We arranged it, got the signs made, did everything they can to help expose the crime. All right, we've done whistle blowing. We can't blow the whistle anymore. People are getting paid millions and millions of dollars for blowing the whistle. We've never seen any of those reports. We put the truck out there so you know we're blowing the whistle. And they walk right past it. They know all about us. Trust us. They know what's going on. They know who's here. And I can guarantee you it's just a matter of time before they get caught. And if you don't think that's true, go read the story. Andrew left living in fear of the DOJ. Go read that story. And what happened to him? He got caught. And short seller Andrew left surrenders on security fraud. Andrew left. The story was living in fear of the feds. That was 1 year ago. Now he's turned himself in, and now he has a court date, September 24th. Everyone in his network is ratting each other out right now. Jeff Easton is an unregistered toxic lender. He will get caught. I wouldn't doubt if he's already been served. I have no idea. And whoever's doing this manipulation is doing it outside of his realm. So it's somebody else doing it offshore somewhere. And William, I just have to ask you this question. Jeff Easton's partner, I forgot his name. What was the guy's name?
Philip Valier?
No,
John Hancock? John Hancock?
John Hancock, that's it. I would appreciate if you just put up, again on Twitter, how much is he up? What was his percentage he was up? Do you remember?
Well, it's our man in...
He's
I'll
up 220.
find it.
He was up 220%. Every one of Lynn Partners stocks they invest in goes straight down, but they're up 220%. Warren Buffett doesn't go up 220%. This guy's up 220%. The greatest investor of everyone's lifetime doesn't make 220%. Jeff Easton's buddy in Australia, Hancock, is up 220%, and he was nice enough to brag about it. Every company they invest in goes straight down. How is that possible that every stock they invest in goes down, yet they're up 220%? The guy made a mistake. He quoted himself, and he had no idea that anybody would find that story in the Australian newspaper. That tells you that Lynn Partners is definitely stealing because they're paying out their clients 220% of their investments. They're the smartest people in the world. Jeff Easton, Phil, whatever his name is, Lavalier, whatever the hell that guy's name is, and and the guy from Hancock. These guys are looters. They belong in jail, and they'll get their time. They're going away. Follow the sell tickets, follow the phone records, get their brokers, see the brokers' communications, see the brokers sell the stocks, get the wire transfers. It all doesn't go away. And like I said before, follow the money and you'll find the crooks. That's all you need to do. We keep reporting, or I keep reporting daily on all the trading, because guess what? I'm designing, or I've actually presenting. I spoke with the FBI. I put the information up there so they can review it. Okay? And I want them to review it, and they're learning from it. They've been on phone calls many times listening to the stuff, like the call we're having today. All right? So they learned a lot, and this is the way they operate. Why did they move slow? I have no idea. Got me. But guess what? They present their case. They're going to get Andrew left, and he's going to throw him in jail for 30 years. Unless he gives up everybody else. Bang, 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 bang. Now you went from one person, you're going to get 20 people. And that's how it works. And these guys are all going down. And just to remind everybody, our people are going to be in power. Our people. Patrick Byrne is us. Patrick Byrne is the best guy ever. He's been diagnosed with cancer 4 times. He beat it. He helped Trump. As a libertarian, didn't vote for Trump. So if anyone's got their stick up their ass about Trump thing again, he wanted free elections. He wants elections to be fair. He had his own people coding and figuring out the election fraud through the machines. Patrick Byrne did that by himself. And now he's been offered an opportunity to get into the administration, and the only thing he wants to fix is stock settlement. Now, I do not want to reach out to him and do a stupid call so that everybody in this call can feel better about themselves, that Pat Byrne's going to help us out. I'm going to wait. And the right day, as we get closer, I am going to have that call with him, but I'm not doing it now. If you don't believe we have the juice, go listen to Pat Byrne. It's right there. And I guarantee you, finger motion will come out of his mouth. All right? When the time comes, he will speak finger motion. Because I'm going to give him a detailed analysis of everything we spoke about. Everything. From the trucks Every time we have photos, everything documented. And he will know about it. We're not fooling around here. Anyway, William, any more questions about dilution? We got any more meat knuckleheads? Where are they?
How's that guy Cream Cheese doing?
Green Cheese told me a great story. He told me a great story before. He bought his wife one of those fake bags on the subway one time. I forget the kind of bag. I don't know if it was Gucci or Coach. He bought it, and that was 20 years ago. Brought it home to his wife with some flowers. It was a star. Didn't have a lot of money. She thought it was a real bag, and I guess it was worth a lot of money. I don't know. He gets divorced. It's 20 years later. He's remarried. The ex-wife takes the bag to Coach, and she wants them to fix it because it's a Coach product, and they told it was a knockoff.
So he got her.
He said she must have been human because that's how embarrassing that has to be.
That's great.
That was a great story. I heard that today.
So he feels like he got one up on her.
Oh, he got her good. Well, whatever misery they had between each other, he got the upper hand from that one.
For 20 years. So what's
20 years he waited.
what's that site that reports FINRA exemptions under the reg show? I just never remember the name. You can track how many each day they've sold.
Yeah, I have a link. I'm not in front of my computer.
I don't remember it. I used to use it every day, and now I can't even remember it.
A couple of people have done it for me, but again, listen, at this stage in the game, I said it's 230 million. They've been washing and trading stock back and forth, and whatever's in the middle, when we have a big day of buying, like the other day when we trade 1.7 million, I'll say they did 800,000 shares that day. Mm-hmm. A lot of it, in the middle of it's a lot of washing of 500,000 shares, maybe some people selling, but 700,000. So the number's gone up every day. Think about it. If they just do 50,000 a day, that's 250 a week. It's $1 million a month. I stopped counting a long time ago. So if you had to bend my arm and say, give me a real number, I say we're approaching 250, but I don't want it. I'll stay at 230. There's no reason to go higher. 230 is big enough for me. There's no reason to even add it up anymore. When you tell me when you see 230 million trade and it's all buying, then let me know. Then I can tell you they're covered. And then throw in the 1.4 million real short. So until you see that day, they haven't covered. We're trying everything in our power to expose that day to get these things. What the dividend does, it stops the music. You get a record date. Everyone who owns the share gets a new dividend. And the dividend is not affected in finger. It's a new symbol called FNGRW. And it's a warrant. So it has nothing, and there's no dilution to anybody here. Zero. Except when you want to exercise your warrant, you pay the company will raise money at $3. And if the stock's 100 minus 3, you would make $97 on your free warrant. You get 10%. You got 10,000 shares, you're going to get 1,000 warrants. All right? The warrants will have a market in it. It'll look like an option market. It may be 50 cents to $1, $1 to $2. But when they have to cover those warrants, okay, when they cover the warrants, it'll drive the stock up because they have to people start converting. It just becomes a total shit show. And it has nothing to do with finger motion. It has no effect on finger motion. It's a separate stock, or it's going to be a symbol, FNGRW. Boy, it's something like MMTLP. It was a dividend, right? What happened there? What a shit show that turned into, right? The only difference is that Finger Motion is a real company, has fundamentals, and this is something else. So when it runs, When finger motion starts going to 3, 4, 5, you call your broker up and say, I'd like to convert my warrant and pay the company, right? They have to have it. And if the brokerage firm doesn't have it, let's say E-Trade, they got to start taking a hit because they got to go out there and buy those warrants for you.
Right.
Think about it. Think about those things being $2, 223 million times. They lose $50-60 million. And people are going to say, well, they're going to make it short it. Well, you know what? You can make short it all you want. It has nothing to do with the stock. Nothing to do with the stock. Right? The stock is a different symbol. It has nothing to do with it. Right? So when the stock goes past 3, that's when things start to get interesting. And this GDC, they keep coming back for it, William. I keep telling you this. I posted a couple times. So I don't know if that big buy is real, wherever it is, but someone is definitely keeps trying to scoop this thing up. They can't. Every time they just had it down to 575, it's back to 609 again. It hasn't taken off, but it just does. It just won't sell off. And finger motion, the volume is stopped. If it wasn't for these guys selling it back and forth, I think 70% today's volume out of 300,000 shares, 70% is make believe. Stocks are entitled to a slow day. There's no selling. You could see it. No one else has any questions, William? Anybody? DJT, I can't believe that they're doing it. I talked about GDC. You know, what else let me say? It's 51 trading days. I just changed the clock. I did that. The special dividend, I expect it out soon. Every day that goes by, we're getting closer. The SEC, if they wanted to kill it, they would have killed it a while ago. And William, I don't know what the how many days, like if they get approval, let's say September 1st, they get approval, the company will announce that they got their approval and they'll say the record date is blah, blah, blah. And they may say September 5th. You said that you think it has to be 10 days. You have to give the street.
You have to give 10 normal days, not business days notice. So,
all right. So so if they announce it on the 1st that they got approval, then 10 normal days would be September 10th.
right. So it's got to be at that or after. They'll pick a day. You know, maybe it'll be the Monday or the whatever.
Anyone who owns the stock on that day of closing, will be entitled to the dividend. That's it. That's how it works. Right. The next day, you could sell the stock and have your dividend for free. Doesn't make a difference.
Right.
And the dividend, I read most of the stuff. It's like I see most of the other companies doing it. It's a 2-year warrant or option, basically. So you have the right to buy stock at $3. Let's say it's 1,000 shares. I have the right. So let's say the market in this thing is going to be 50 cents to $1. The short sellers are going to be short 23 million shares, and they're going to get a margin call based on that. If that thing trades up, it's 23 million shares. The broker, their prime broker, is going to say, hey, Jeff Easton, you fat fuck, you got liability here. You got to put up another $50 million here too to back up this trade. It's not free. You got to put up margin money. So now they got margin money on the FNGRW, and they're going to have margin money on the FNGR. So now the fire is burning in 2 spots. And if you think we're going to stop there, then, you better have your head examined, because we're working on different things again. And we got Pat Byrne. So, I
didn't say anything.
Oh, sorry. I thought I heard something. I'm hearing voices in my head.
You need your head examined.
And there's the 200 shares of finger selling. Hurry up. I put it up this morning. Someone got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to sell 45 shares. 45 shares, there was a trade at 4 o'clock in the morning. Is our friends doing this from Europe? Interesting, right? You said that, William, right? A few times to me.
Mm-hmm.
Are they doing it in Spain? Are they doing it? Where are these guys located? They're getting up pretty early in the morning to do some crazy trading, right?
Well,
What did they
I'd
say?
love to be the broker that has their account. They did 45 trades, you told me this morning. That's a huge ticket.
I told you. I told you yesterday. My friend bought 4,000 finger at 229.
Yeah.
17 sell tickets. 4,000 shares. 17 sellers. 17 different people sold stock at
Times
the same
6
time.
cents a ticket. That would really make my commission run hum.
Think about that. They sold 17 different sellers. You know, maybe one was for 125, 35, 149 shares, all different. There's no selling. That's just naked shorting, all different ways. They're just putting it everywhere. And it happens to, I had a friend buy 100,000 shares one time. He couldn't believe it. He had hundreds of tickets. Because they get reports in. You know, you bought 8, you bought 10, you bought 140, you bought 800, you bought 200. And it's like, no one sells stock like that. That's not one person selling the stock. That's multiple people doing it. What they're doing it is in multiple accounts. Or they're hitting a button as the buyer comes in, they just keep repeating it, refreshing it. The sell order. It could be one account, like a machine gun, refreshing it. That's what they do.
Hi, Celeste. Don't listen to him. He needs to wash his mouth out with soap. But
Oh, I'm sorry. That's a young girl. I'm sorry.
Sweetheart. I hope your dog bigger than you are by now? She's 6 years old.
Because she has to do earmuffs. Like in the
When you
movie, The Internship. Was it the intern? I forgot. Or Back to School. No, what was it? Back to School. Old School. With Vince Vaughn. You got to put earmuffs on. You got to put your hands
One
on your
thing
ears.
about swear words, Celeste, there's only a handful of them. And then there's a whole dictionary of really good words. So you can have a good vocabulary. Don't imitate him. He doesn't have a vocabulary.
Sorry.
He's limited to 7 words that they used on the desk to describe things.
I'm so sorry.
What is this question? If you direct register 1,000 shares of Finger, why would you? They will issue 100 warrants to you, not in the market. I guess yes, but why would you direct register shares of Finger?
You don't need to do it. Listen, listen. Wall Street is blocking all the ways you can to squeeze them, right?
Yeah.
People have told us, they said, don't lend our shares out. They lend your shares out. They're doing everything to hide this crime. The fact is, in 51 trading days, Pat Burns is going to make sure it's going to be exposed. That's it. These guys want to stay and keep playing and thinking it's going to go away. Let them keep playing. It's going to go away where Pat Burns is going to come in and he's going to force settlement. There's no more loopholes. It's going to end. There's too many loopholes here. The hedge funds have the lawyers, the loopholes, and they know what's going on, and it's going to end. That's it. He knows he knows all about it.
You know Robert Steele, right? You met him?
He passed away.
Well, this gentleman wants to know if you can tell a story about Robert Steele. I don't know.
He was with the CIA. He told me a famous story about he was in something in Central America. I forgot where it was. And he had to wear some special mustache or something on. And the thing was falling off at the meeting, he said.
That sounds like a bad movie.
He said, he goes, you know how hard that is when you're sitting here and you got some makeup on and the thing starts to get loose. You stop putting your hand. He said he was putting his hand across his mouth, trying to whisper because he said he didn't want anybody to see his words coming out of his mouth. And he ended the meeting quicker because the guy, he was afraid the thing would fall off. And that's how stupid some of the people are that they're meeting overseas, I guess. Who knows who he was working with. But he sent those cups. One was from the CIA. One was from the KGB. He signed them for me. He sent them to me. I gave him tons of data. I gave him information for 2 years. I gave him stuff, and he learned how to. He used his contact, and he kept expanding and getting more information. Then he passed away.
Sounds like Lincoln. Lincoln came from humble beginnings, worked his way up. He became president, and then he passed away. This gentleman, Acts 1, I know you say you will consider China deal as huge news when you see the dollar potential. Then you'll think it's a positive. It's a unique period of time right now that good news comes out and stocks go down. That'll change at some point. It used to be that the market would discount good news and you would not have time to buy the stock based on good news. So if you wait, and I'm not saying it'll be in this case, but if you wait until the evidence is 100% crystal clear, you can buy Finger at 20. I'm making the number up, but go ahead and wait. Investing's a little bit having a thesis, making a projection. You can't be 100% sure, but maybe you're 80% sure, and you got to get in early. But whatever, you can wait. You can wait. I don't care.
Wall Street it's funny. Everybody wants inside information. When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? Hurry up. Can you tell me? Hurry up. When is GDC going to go? We all want to know. Yes, it's going to go in 2 seconds. You better hurry up. We don't know that stuff. But if you did know that stuff, there's a good chance the SEC would get you, and you can go to prison over insider trading, right?
Nobody knows.
But the best part about what we're seeing now is we all have free inside information. Believe me, we all were thirsting as a young trader on the desk. Give me the inside information. Give me the scoop. I want to buy it, flip it, see you later, and go have a party. We all wanted to do that. We were all trading in the dark on hearsay. All right, I've been around the street for a long time. I never had a document in my hands. And oh my God, it's going to happen tomorrow. We didn't know. No one knew. You make your decision. Oh, the stock's running. The deal's going to happen. We would say, you know what? If the deal happens, I have 80% off the table. I'll stay with 20%. And when they didn't happen and the stocks pulled back down, at least we made money all the time. That's the way to play it.
Right.
But right now, you have free information, free inside information given it to you by the next president of the United States. Donald Trump said on day one, he's throwing Gary Gensler out the door. I'm not making it up. The video's right online. Did I make him say that? Absolutely not. It's right there. And then we follow it up where Pat Burns says, I've been offered a spot in the administration. And if Mr. Trump gets back in, I'm going to take that. I'm going to raise my hand, and I want to come in and I want to fix the stock settlement system because there's a bunch of bad people here. Boom. You know the date. It's 51 days. Thank you, Mr. Trump. 51 days. And you know what's going to happen. They're going to force stock settlement. Forcing stock settlement means if you're short, you're going to have to deliver or buy in your short. It's right there. They're telling you. It's right there. So you know what the event is, the election, and you know what the takeover is. The takeover is what? They're going to buy back the stock. There you go. So the bad guys are sitting here, and we will all say the same thing. Why are they waiting? Why are they waiting? Because they're dead meat. There's nothing to do. They got to go put a gun in their mouth and blow their brains out. That's what they have to do. It's not easy committing hara-kiri. That's what they have to do.
Which is a sword, but
whatever they have to do. It's not easy to kill yourself. Except for the guy in Volkswagen, after he lost all his money, he took care of himself. He jumped in front of a train.
It's not easy being cheesy.
All right. So that's what you're looking at.
Everything on my screen is red at the 4 o'clock hour.
Again, all these stocks all went up with the market. Now they're all being sold off. The only stocks that went up were NVIDIA. And Apple.
Well, I was going to ask you that earlier because I didn't watch. I was trying to do Verizon and set up this computer. Did NVIDIA's earnings come out? What do you think's going on there?
I have no idea.
Yeah, all right.
Everyone said their earnings are going to be great. They're going to be great.
It's the margins. Well, look at the margin on them.
Listen, either you want to buy it and hold on to it. Listen, if I was in NVIDIA and I'm up $50 in it, sell 80%, hold on to 20. If it's bad news, you can buy it down.
Well, I guess
50.
NVIDIA's, according to Amit, the NVIDIA's earnings are coming out presently.
All right. So what do you get off the table? You can own 20%, 30%. If it explodes, you sell the 30% up $30 more.
What's going to be the upside surprise in NVIDIA? That the earnings are up 20 cents more than the whisper numbers?
All right.
The stock's already in a bubble, a massive bubble, but I guess this time's different.
Right.
You guys should look up the Nifty 50 and see how many of those stocks you still talk about. Everything from RCA to Xerox to Zenith. They're all gone.
All the names, all the old names. They're all gone, right?
Yeah,
Eventually, everybody runs out. Their technology gets old. It's very hard to keep evolving and stay ahead of the curve, right?
Yeah.
All I know is that I have a small company that's $2.30 that's doing business in the biggest market in the world, and their partner or their best friend is the government of China. I'll stick with what I think we have. That's my business. That's what I believe. You want to move on? On top of that, we got some idiot from Madison Avenue that has no idea about what's going on in China. He's the expert, and he's making sure of the whole thing. Now what is he going to do? And that's it, William.
All right.
The market's closed. We're down to 51 trading days. It's official. I changed it on the site. I changed it. It's all right there. So, and here you go. And I'm out of gas talking already.
All right.
All good. And we'll touch base tomorrow.
All right.
William?
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Have a good night.
Call ended.
Madison Avenue's claim to fame. So when does NVIDIA's, I guess they come out right now? Let's see if it changes our world. I don't see the news on it. That's interesting. China has a carry trade. NVIDIA is not the economy. I know. It's just, we have news that gets us looking at wow, Logic 3.3 cents. That's up. It's a serious investment there. It's been a nerve-shattering experience for me, sir. All right. I think since we only have 3 days before school's back, you need to learn a little bit more with a lag about what's coming. Let me just see if there's any, Logic, I think to me, it's so obvious. You assume the CEOs will see it as well, and Brent will see it, that if they get the 6 deals done all at once, roughly, let's say in a period of a few weeks, but they do the calculation at once, it's fewer shares outstanding, so there's more glory per share. the fewer the shares, the more glory. Then gentlemen in England now abed shall hold their manhoods cheap when we strip our sleeves and say, these I received on Crispin's day. Um, and then the word will go out from here into all time that we few, we happy few, we band of brothers. I forget how it goes. All right. All right. So here comes the doomsday. This was written in 2007. This is Mike Maloney. I have to admit that when I first started researching this chapter, it scared me and I developed a bunker mentality. It happened to me. I'm skipping some of the words because it's a long chapter. Okay, so, yep, a storm's a coming. In the old movies, you'll sometimes see the wise old farmer look on the horizon and say, looks like a storm's a coming. Well, how does he know? He's been living on and farming that land for years, and he recognizes things. If you look on today's financial horizon, and this was written over a decade ago, but my contention is it's as true today as it was then. There was a delay. If I had to pick what made the delay occur, it was a combination of really cheap money, COVID, the pandemic financing, and there was a lot of oil in the market. And maybe by people living at home, working at home, some of the changes occurred that needed to occur. But I think everything that's predicted here, we're about to see. And even though my book is turned brown with age, it all applies. The financial storm is going to be dark and terrifying. I agree with that. But if you heed the warnings and move your resources into safer areas, specifically precious metals, it will be bright and sunny for you once the storm has passed. That summarizes my whole thesis. Precious metals, oil and gas, becoming your own central bank allows you to survive the storm. And you come out on the other side and, even in the Depression, I think 60%, 70% of people had a job. Life goes on, commerce goes on. So the problems are global trade imbalances, budget deficits, rampant currency creation, and then the real big one is U.S. debt and its unfunded liabilities. This has just it's just extended. It's like the road runner running off the cliff. He's just run further out in no man's land, no air, no land. All right, so this is 2007. Imagine. March of 2007, Congress passed a bill to increase the ceiling on the national debt from 8 trillion to 9 trillion. We're at 35 trillion right now. 35 trillion. And everything he predicted here hasn't happened yet. But I submit if you keep the lid on the boiling water, it's gonna like if you're boiling pasta or something, you put a lid on it, all of a sudden it overtops. I'm going to skip the numbers because they're all out of whack. He's predicting that U.S. national debt could surpass 10 trillion by 2008. I mean, the numbers are ridiculous. So let's go on. Unfunded liabilities. Programs like Social Security and Medicare are unfunded liabilities. The government makes promises and they didn't figure out how to pay for them. Now, this is 15 years ago. The U.S. Comptroller says unfunded liabilities are now 50 trillion. That's 2006. Imagine what they are now, 50 trillion. I've heard numbers much, much higher, 100 trillion, even 200 trillion, when you add in pension guarantees and et cetera. And now we've got 20 million new voters who are going to become citizens by stroke of the pen. Our unfunded liabilities are ginormous. Let's skip all that. The unfunded liabilities monster is growing 6 times more quickly than the U.S. economy. It now totals 95% of the entire household net worth in the United States. I bet that's still an accurate figure because houses have gone up, stock market has gone up, debt has gone up. Okay, this guy, Michael Hodges, projected 15 years ago that total outstanding United States debt, if you add federal, local, state, household, business, financial sector, unfunded liabilities, this is 15 years ago, $160 trillion. $160 trillion. I bet it's over 250 now. I'll have to try to find that out. All right, so I'm skipping quite a few paragraphs just to move through it. David Walker, the comptroller of U.S. Comptroller, believes this is a threat to our well-being. And what he says is, quote, "The problem is that in the coming decades, there simply aren't going to be enough full-time workers to promote strong economic growth or to sustain existing entitlement programs. Like most industrialized nations, the United States will have fewer full-time workers paying taxes and contributing to federal social insurance programs. At the same time, growing numbers of retirees will be claiming their Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid benefits. And now we have 20 million new people that Kamala is going to put on the rolls as well. And thank God they'll vote for her. You know, we'll save the country from the misogynist, Nazi, white supremacist Donald Trump. Unless he continues to be quoted, this is David Walker, unless we reform Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, these programs will eventually crowd out all other federal spending. Well, not before interest on the public debt does. Otherwise, by 2040, our government could be doing little more than sending out Social Security's checks and paying interest on our massive national debt. It's a pretty accurate prediction. So I'm going to skip the charts. I'm going to skip the Medicare bill. George W. Bush's administration's proposal for a balanced budget in 2012. Notice that the graph starts with the year 2000 with a surplus. The notion that there was a surplus at the end of the Clinton years is another lie. There was no real surplus because the federal government uses a cash accounting that allows little room for monetary magic. The last year Clinton was in office, the national debt grew by 67 billion. So the real deficit was 67 billion. Clinton misled us, and I'm not talking about Monica Lewinsky or what the meaning of is. The actual deficit, there was actually a deficit in 2000 because the debt grew. But I'm not going to just beat up on Clinton. My political bashing is completely nonpartisan. So we actually started with a budget which was nowhere near being balanced in 2000. That means the chart of the balanced budget projection, you have to imagine the projections lower downward so that it begins at the zero line. You can see that the Bush tax cuts put us in the hole by 9%, causing the deficit to explode again. By 2005, anyway, I'm not going to read the numbers. They're all irrelevant now. The deficit grew. Both parties provide bountiful amounts of idiotic fiscal policy. This accounting operation began under Ronald Reagan. I agree with that. In 1981, Reagan signed the Kemp-Roth tax cut, increasing the deficit by more than 2.5 times in just 2 years, from 79 billion to 200 billion. I'm going to skip a lot of this. We don't need to go through Social Security. He's saying they robbed the Social Security Trust Fund. Basically, he's saying that the government lies to us about the debt. So when Social Security was created in 1935, there were 42 workers for every retiree, whereas in 2007, there were 3.3 workers, and by 2030, there will be 2 workers for every retiree, although we just brought in 20 million new people. This is a product of the aging baby boomer generation. Another effect it will have on your finances is that the same law which created the IRA account also mandates that the biggest stock market crash in history is yet to come. Because as the baby boomers begin to retire, they will be required to pull money out of their IRAs, which will result in high stock sales volumes and not enough demand for the stock being sold. Exactly, Mackley. And that's about as basic as economics gets. High supply and low demand equals falling prices. Then he talks about Ron Paul. I'd rather not get into Ron Paul. I'm sure he's great, but I find him a little bit out there. He then talks about the global savings glut and our account deficit. That was a theory back then. It no longer applies, so I'm going to skip all of that. I'm going to skip Japan for now. Let's see what this says. The international IOU. An often overlooked fact is that the bulk of the currency reserves in the world's central banks are not actually currency, but bonds, mostly in the form of United States treasuries. I used to have a hard time trying to comprehend the world monetary system, but there's an analogy you can use to understand it. Picture a very large room. In this room are the heads of the US Treasury, the Federal Reserve, the rest of the world's treasuries and central banks, all the world's commercial banks, and a bunch of hotshot Wall Street types. Then picture that they all frantically start making out IOUs and pass them back and forth to each other as quickly as they can. This is the world's monetary system. The foundation of the world's monetary system is a bond issued by a country's treasury, Ministry of Finance, or whatever they call it in their various countries. We'll call it the government. These government bonds are the foundation bonds of the world's monetary system. Bonds basically say, I owe you X amount of currency plus X amount of interest. Many entities buy government bonds, but when a country wants to create some currency, the government sells a bond to their central bank. When a country wants to create some currency, the government sells a bond to their central bank. The central bank writes a check against zero balance in their checking account for however many dollars, euros, yen, or whatever to buy the bond. The currency has now sprung into existence and can later be used to redeem the bonds. Therefore, the bond is an IOU for the currency. But since the currency is also a claim check to redeem the bond when it matures, the currency is an IOU for the bond. Get it? No, I don't understand it either. It's because it's crazy. If we each did this, we'd be accused of fraud. The government now circulates the currency by paying people and buying stuff. People deposit currency into the banks, so the banks and other entities end up with a lot of currency. When a person wants to buy a house, they go to the bank and take out a loan by signing a mortgage. The mortgage also says, I owe you X amount of currency plus X amount of interest. The bank creates a book entry for the amount of currency you borrowed. At the same time, a book entry is made as a debt that you owe on your house. On the bank's balance sheet, liabilities are netted out against assets. The books say balanced and the bank is happy. But the bank didn't loan you any of the currency it had on hand. It just created book entries. When you signed that mortgage, the currency that the bank loaned to you sprang into existence the second you signed the mortgage. The bank just expanded the world's currency supply. The bank then takes a bunch of mortgages, this was written before The Big Short, and packages them up into a bond called a mortgage-backed security. You probably heard about these in the news. They're largely responsible for the subprime mortgage mess. Mortgage-backed securities are complicated financial tools, weapons of mass destruction, created to limit financial institutions' risk when it comes to debt. But instead of limiting the risk, they have spread the risk to the entire world. Whenever a bank gives you a loan for a house, it rarely keeps the loan. Rather, it sells it to Wall Street, who then packages and other loans into mortgage-backed securities and sells them to investors worldwide. Now, foreclosures in Las Vegas, Nevada, can cause the town to go bankrupt in Norway. Our current mess stems from the fact that the Federal Reserve kept interest rates so low for so long. This is in 2006-7. Imagine 15 years later. That it caused an immense wave of currency and credit creation, which devalued the dollar and caused housing prices to rise at record levels. With credit so cheap and currency so plentiful, soon banks were loaning money to any bum who walked off the street as long as he combed his hair. The banks then sold those mortgages to Wall Street, and those geniuses packaged the loans, both standard and subprime, into MBS and sold them off to investors. This is before the Big Short. All right, I'm going to skip the next paragraphs. Mortgage-backed securities are part of the derivatives monsters. Derivatives are financial instruments whose price and value are derived from the value of the assets underlying them, like the real estate underlying mortgage-backed securities. Derivatives may be the single largest threat to the world's financial system. I've heard that derivatives today are 400 quadrillion in dollars. And they definitely are one of the darker clouds in the coming storm. We have no idea the havoc derivatives may wreak. Most of these are created over the counter. You know, they're just documents between overpaid wankers, and they're not traded on an exchange. They're not subject to regulation. Thank you, Bill Clinton. And there's no SEC, not that that matters. Derivatives make up the world's largest financial market. In 2008, derivatives exceeded $1 quadrillion. I think that number's almost doubled by now, maybe doubled. Many derivatives have an expiry date, so a new derivative has to be created before that derivative expires. So it becomes a daisy chain. I'm going to skip long-term capital management. I'm going to skip the Carlyle Fund. And I'll move on to the currency game. The currency system is stacked against you. If you are an average American who works hard and saves your cash in a bank, you are the biggest loser in the system. The biggest winners are the financial sectors who create new currency. They grow richer as you grow poorer. This is the same with stocks. The reason the financial sector is so wealthy is simple. When anyone counterfeits money, whether illegally or in the case of the banking system, legally, value is effectively taken from the existing currency and transferred to the newly created currency. When the new currency is created, its maximum purchasing power is conferred to its creator because it didn't cost the creator anything to make the currency. Even more, when the creator loans out the new currency, it requires, the creator does, the return of the currency plus interest. So the currency creator makes currency for nothing by stealing value from your currency and then loans the currency to others and requires even more currency to be returned. The borrower receives the second highest value from the issuance of currency because the currency is not yet out in circulation until he buys something with it. Once he purchases something, however, the currency enters circulation and devalues the existing currency supply, which, as you've probably guessed, makes prices for things like milk, and gasoline rise. Now it's more expensive for you to purchase those items. The borrower of newly created currency gets more benefits than you do from currency precisely because he doesn't have to pay the price, so to speak. He purchases goods with borrowed money before the new currency has its effect on the price of what he's buying. Thus, the concept of borrowing today and paying back tomorrow with cheaper dollars is born. Savvy investors use this system to great advantage, whether it is using margin in the stock market or investing in real estate. The power of currency creation bestows great wealth transfer to those who use its leverage wisely. Borrowers who just finance their own home or car make themselves poorer by merely transferring their wealth from themselves to the bank. Is this system moral? No, but it's the system we live with. All right, the last page. We have touched on the budget deficit, unfunded liabilities, trade imbalances, fractional reserve banking, and the resulting explosion of the global currency supply. I skipped quite a bit of it. The derivatives monster that looms over us like the Death Star in Star Wars, we talked about that, and we talked about our faith-based financial system. All of these make up the dark economic clouds on our horizon today. This will converge into the perfect economic storm. This only scratches the surface. The problems and imbalances in the global financial system could fill volumes. All of this is happening when terrorism threatens the world. I guess not anymore. Now it's other things. The United States foreign policy seems to be turning the opinion of the rest of the world against it. That's happening. Oil supplies are diminishing while half of the world's population is seeking the same level of prosperity and per capita energy usage as the Western world. Global warming is at our doorstep, and the US government and most of its population have metaphorically maxed out on their credit cards. Well, not by half. They kept doing it. But I bet we're there now. We're very close. And everyone in the United States thinks they're going to retire and live off of each other. When things get uncertain, investors run for the perceived safety of government bonds. Perceived safety of government bonds. I believe this time, this is Mike Mahoney, I believe this time around, they will get slaughtered. When, not if, the credit worthiness of the United States government is downgraded. When, not if, when the credit worthiness of the United States government is downgraded, U.S. bonds, just like mortgage-backed securities bonds, will be sold at huge discounts. And any investor holding them will lose, just as they did in the 1970s and the 1980s, when bonds were nicknamed certificates of wealth confiscation. How quickly we forget. while the storm is coming, and while it will have horrible repercussions for those who are financially unintelligent, it's good news for precious metals owners and investors, mining companies. I'm not saying we should stand by and cheer on our politicians as they waste tax dollars and make promises they cannot deliver on. But it does seem that Washington refuses to learn from history and is intent on following a suicidal path to oblivion. Gold and silver, and in honor of John, I'll say platinum and palladium. But gold and silver are the only currencies central banks cannot print. History always repeats itself. When a civilization debases its currency supply, all that currency will once again come chasing that same tiny little pile of metal, and the gold and silver will revalue themselves measured in those currencies. This will happen to the United States, just as it did to every empire in history. Those who recognize this stand to become wealthy beyond belief. This is why anyway, I'm not as prepared as I want to be. I did prepare, but the big bully it came by and kicked down my sandcastle, and I needed to send 10 cents to buy the comic book exercise, how to exercise, so I could come back and beat that bully. All right, so what did NVIDIA report? NVIDIA didn't report. I don't see NVIDIA's. I don't see NVIDIA's. Let me look up NVIDIA. The stock is down $2. NVIDIA reports 122% revenue growth. That raises alarm bells. Surging demand for data, but it doesn't say its earnings. Let's see what NVIDIA says. Record quarterly revenue of $30 billion, up 15%. Record quarterly data center revenue of $26 billion. GAAP earnings per diluted share was 67 cents, up 12% from the previous quarter and up 168% from a year ago. Non-GAAP earnings per diluted share was 68 cents. Demand remains strong. Blackwell samples are shipping to our partners and customers. What was the whisper number? I don't know. I'll leave it to you guys to tell me if that's good numbers. NVIDIA. No trust in the stock market, would never bring another company public. Yeah, Peloton was a darling. Thank you, Mark, for all the NVIDIA. It is a big increase, but the question is, what did they expect the increase to be? if they missed by even a fraction of the expectation, the stock will go down. If they beat it, the stock will go up. They can give $150,000 to buy homes. So where's that money going to come from? It's just going to be created in thin air. There's the woman. I'll give you her name. Let me make sure I don't want to get the wrong person. Taking a while to download. All right, let's keep going. All right, let's skip that. This is a book. I don't want to read the book. Five economists redefining everything, and they're women. Revolutionizing the women who made modern economics. The deficit myth, modern economic theory, and the birth of the people's economy. The Women Who Made Modern Economics by Rachel Reeves. Credit where credit is due. "13 Women Who Transformed the World of Economics." Female economists shaking things up. The Women Who Made Modern Economics by Rachel Reeves. Claudia Golden wins the Nobel Prize in Economics. Claudia Golden's work is foundational for understanding 21st century economics. Rachel Reeves, the Shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer. I can't find the economist I was looking for. Stephanie Kelton. That's who I'm talking about. Stephanie Kelton. Let's look her up. Stephanie Kelton. Swell. Not only is she female and great for women breaking through, but she's young. She's 54. She wrote the book, The Deficit Myth, Modern Theory and the Birth of the People's Economy. She's an expert. The Deficit Myth. I mean, she's not the only one. Dick Cheney was the first. Stephanie Kelton's brilliant exploration of modern monetary theory dramatically changes our understanding of how we can best deal with crucial issues ranging from poverty and inequality to creating jobs, expanding healthcare coverage, climate change, and building resilient infrastructure. Any ambitious proposal, however, inevitably runs into a buzzsaw of how to find the money to pay for it, rooted in the myths about deficits, which are hobbling us as a country. Kelton busts through the myths which prevent us from taking action, that the government should budget like a household, that deficits will harm the next generation, crowd out private investment, and undermine long-term growth, and that entitlements are propelling us toward a grave fiscal crisis. And modern monetary theory, as Kelton shows, shifts the terrain from narrow budgetary questions to one of broader economic and social benefits. With its important new ways of understanding money, taxes, and the crucial role of deficit spending, MMT redefines how to responsibly use our resources so that we can maximize our potential as a society. MMT gives us the power to imagine new politics and a new economy and move from a narrative of scarcity to one of opportunity. Guys and girls, when are we going to realize that this embracing of this hooey in the guise of some greater insight provided? She was the chief economist on the United States Senate Budget Committee. Oh, God. It's an absolute nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. But this is what we have to accept in this new world of equality and opportunity and equity. And we have to take this crap. And you have to take it seriously because it's written by a woman. I know men write a lot of crap too. I don't want to listen to Rand Paul and I don't want to listen to Rush Limbaugh. So, but please, this is not looking at reality. This is trying to avoid reality. And it's a disaster. Modern monetary theory is a disaster. And one of its biggest proponents in practice is a guy, Ben Bernanke, and then Paul Krugman, who I used to enjoy reading. Now I think he's a blathering idiot. Anyway, rather than get all upset like I just did, the point is, how do you protect against this asinine idea that all you have to do is print money, hard assets, commodities, real income from real things, do the things you know, get out of debt, because I don't think debt is going to save you from what's coming, and learn to live on a smaller, you know, we don't need all the things we've come to expect out of our lives. For a while, we're going to have to live smaller to live more prosperously. All right, lucky boy. Nobody else is listening. Nobody else is listening either, lucky boy. It's really hot out. I can't take him outside. Hey, John. All right, I don't know what else to talk about. Let's see how some of these stocks are trading in the aftermarket. Everything is down except Logic. Logic was up, basically. Closed at 0.0338. That's not bad. What if it goes to 5 cents, 10 cents, 15 cents, 16 cents? What if? It's not a bad trade. Now, I listened to Richard's call on GTII yesterday, and I'm encouraged by what I heard. That we're not out of the woods. I have a project I'm going to try to show the whales, because I'm not, they've got another guy in charge, but there's no reason. This is what I would have done had I been CEO. There's no reason I shouldn't show it and make it available, because it's not about me, is it? So I'll do that. On MMTLP today, sorry, I used that word, NextBridge today. I joined Junk Savvy's call this morning with a great number of people on it, and she's terrific. She's so knowledgeable. Her hard work, her understanding, her compassion, and her ability to handle a lot of people fairly, call out the jerks, but support people who are confused and hurt, but also to break down the probably not all that complicated at the end of the day, but everything's complicated until you understand it. I mean, English was complicated before you learned it. So as she breaks down the complicated issues, we all learn more. But on NextBridge, I'm persuaded that everything in that S1 is good news. She said something and brought up that there may be reasons for the SEC to delay it or whatever. I don't know. I don't feel that way. I think with Roth Capital lawyers and NextBridge's lawyers, and the fact that the S1 is really just a restatement of the previous S1, updated for better financials, more transparent financials, for financials provided by an accounting firm that's not Borders. I think the approval will come quickly, and the use of proceeds couldn't be better for all shareholders. So, yeah, Nunya, nothing changes. I'm not somebody that knows the Bible, but what's amazing is that a lot of these human foibles, they were back then too, the exact same things. So you're right, nothing ever changes. Why do you care about that? Why do you care about that, Jim? What's your issue with the fact that you think it's being it feels like it's being swept under the rug? I can't help your feelings. I can call attention to the last interview I did with Martin Shen, and then I can call attention to Martin Shen's interview with Skyline. I think it's called Skyline Investment Relations. Anyway, it's out there. He was asked that same question. And if you listen to the interview, I know you're busy. Martin Shen said that the SEC had some questions for Finger, which is the privilege. That's the purview of the SEC to have questions. Those questions were given to Finger Motion on its request for approval. They mostly related to the as I recall his answer, to the financials of Finger Motion. So he said we answered those as quickly as possible. The last interview, I remember him saying that he still had to answer one or two questions, and they will get those answers to the SEC. Well, Jim, I don't know what you do in the summer. You're probably one of the Americans that works your butt off. But that interview was in July. August is pretty much vacation time for Wall Street, for lawyers, for the SEC. Things slow down in August. My guess is whatever questions the SEC had regarding the financials of Finger Motion had to wait until Finger Motion completed its financials, which they announced last month, and possibly are sitting on a desk of somebody that went on vacation. So as I've said here many times, I believe that the dividend will be approved. There's no reason why it should not by the SEC after everyone comes back to school. It is my contention, Jim, everything is normal. I don't think there's way past the 45 days. I don't see it that way. If you listen to the SEC, they say they don't have enough people. And I think everything with the SEC gets delayed lately. The SEC is going into new areas, specifically blockchain and cryptocurrency. So they stretch thin. My opinion is you're going to get approval on the Finger Motion dividend in the first or second week of September. Why? Because everyone's back from school. They can start going through the files on their desk. They can meet people for lunch. They can get together by phone. They can have a Zoom call. Nobody is on vacation. That's my opinion. Now, what does it mean for you? What are you upset about? You're going to get a dividend that probably is going to catch out the system, but we don't know that for a fact. They will probably hem and haw and delay, much like they did with GTII, but we'll find out. It's just a trick. It's just a gimmick. It's a fair one. It's a legal one. It's done above board to try to cause a reconciliation, to try to cause settlement. The system does not settle trades. But I don't agree with you, Jim. You can feel like it's being swept under the rug, but I don't see it that way. I think the SEC has a right to ask questions. They have a right to wait until the financials are reported, so then they can ask further questions. I think this is normal, but you can feel like it's not. It's feelings, nothing more than feelings. Feelings. Does the stock price affect the warrant price? Well, I don't know, Mike. Ham was talking about a $3 exercise price. I should check, but I didn't see an amendment. But then again, I didn't look every single day. I hope they keep the warrant price at $7. I totally disagree with Ham. I think it should stay at $7. But Ham thinks $3 means that it catches out the shorts more quickly. It goes in the money sooner. People will start exercising, so it brings cash to the company. That's one point of view. It's a very logical point of view. I just think $7. 5 million warrants, real warrants at $7 is 35 million. That's the total revenue of the company last year, to my memory. I like the $7 number. Now think of it. If there really are, Ham's number is over 200 million, 300 million. I don't know what number it really is. But if there's 5 million, there's 55 million shares extant. There's one for 10, so that should be around 5 million warrants, maybe 5 to 6 million new shares created by these warrants. Well, what if there's 50 million? I'm just using a number as an example instead of 5 million. Well, if Wall Street gives you IOUs for 50 million, and then they ask you to exercise them at $3 or $7, where does that money go? It goes to Wall Street. That is fraud on a massive scale. Massive. And every single firm that does that should lose their license to be a broker dealer. So I think eventually, when this dividend is issued, it does have the potential to really gum up the works, just like it did with GTII. But the system got away with lying, stalling, misleading, and then allowing the stock price to be driven downward into this so-called expert market. But GTII hasn't been resolved yet either. So there's more to be revealed there. But with finger motion, boys, they're not going to be able to drive the stock price down. They're smoking something if they think they can. I mean, they may do it in a spike, but they won't be able to keep it down, in my judgment. It's 5:00. Do you know where your children are? I think I might call it quits there. I'm working on two things. I want to show GTII. I don't know if it'll get into the mix. I'm showing what I would have brought in had I been CEO. So I'm not CEO, so I may not have access to investors the way I would have as CEO. I can't really drive the agenda, but I can make the case, and I'm going to do that. What else can I tell you? I think that's about it. Let's see if there's any news that matters. Any news that matters? Quickly. Rublev is making a tremendous comeback. He lost the first two sets, and he's winning the fourth, and he won the third. That's amazing. Tiafoe looks like he's going to win. Zverev won, no surprise. Greek Spore won. Nakashima won. Dimitrov won. Lehecka won, yeah. 5 sets Lehecka won. He's good. Echeverry is the wiener. Pretty good. And Poprin is going to win. Yeah, Poprin, that's the one I'm worried about for the Joker. Shelton looks like he's going to win. Another guy for the Joker to worry about. Warren Buffett dumps $1 billion worth of Bank of America. Just looking for any news to quickly. NVIDIA dumps and pumps after smashing Q2 expectation, but guidance is a mixed bag. See, guidance, it's the whole thing. It's the whole thing. 5 signs that the United States is collapsing. Swell. I don't want to read that. I want to ignore the truth. I want to ignore it. There's a colon cancer crisis. Poplip, wow. I'm not going to laugh about it. I'll leave that alone. Yeah, no new news that I can see. So, well, no reason I can't contribute best I can with efforts and ideas and advice, All right, so I'm going to leave it there. I don't know if I accomplished anything, but I've got a few phone calls to make, and my dog wants to go outside, but he can't. It's too hot. And we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for listening. I wish everyone the best. Pray for peace around the world, and pray for your safety and health. And somebody asked me, I think it was RW, who I want for president. Let me just see. It's nobody's business, right? That's the thing. Well, the background's brighter. This is a different computer. I think it's got a better camera. I can't use the new computer yet because my Verizon is on the blink. I went to Verizon today, and sure enough, I knew I had paid it. My account's in good standing. The equipment they tested, I don't know how they tested it, but they did it remotely, and it's all fine. So it looks like somebody chopped down the line coming into the apartment. So RW did ask, who do I want to win, Kamala or Donald? I think it does not matter who wins. I think there's no real solutions for what's coming. On the other hand, leadership can change things. I think one person is going to win and the other is going to win. And I think we have to get ready for that. I'm a lifelong Democrat. I voted for everybody from Jimmy Carter to Jesse Jackson to Mike Dukakis, Al Gore, John Kerry, Bill Clinton, Obama. But I voted for Donald Trump in 2015, I guess, 16, 15. Well, anyway, I voted for Donald Trump, my first Republican vote ever. And then last time I voted for Donald Trump, and this time I will vote for Donald Trump. I don't think his solutions this time on everything are the correct are going to work. But I think if he truly does build a government and he listens to Robert Kennedy, Tulsi Gabbard, and maybe others, I wish he had picked Byron Donalds, but others. If he listens to others, I think he can make changes. The biggest thing is we have to have fair elections. We have to have a fair stock market. We have to have a fair banking system. We have to have the premier educational system available to all. And our healthcare system, there's a lot. He's got a big task and he's only got 4 years to do it. I'm not a big fan of J.D. Vance. I wish he had picked someone that could carry on his agenda better than what I perceive. I don't trust J.D. Vance. I think he's a rhino. But that I could be wrong. Everyone tells me I'm wrong. All right, let's just see if there's anything left and then I'm going to go. I don't want to be responsible for investor relations. Get Frank Benedetto or I'm not. I'm glad to do investor relations, but I'd prefer to do it from a position, as the actor rather than just a press secretary. But anyway. All right, I'm going to say goodnight. Thank you for watching. Peace to everybody. More will be revealed.